Hello everyone, JSGC here, and we're here for another Manchester City transfer update. Of course, the English window's already passed, but we're still expecting bits of news coming out every now and then, with the window still open in many other countries, including most of the top divisions over in Europe. So we'll have plenty of news to be able to talk about. Just not enough for me to be able to do daily transfer updates, but I will still be putting out some transfer updates here and there for you to look forward to. So make sure if you're interested, press that red button, subscribe, press the bell, put your push notifications on. Make sure if you're interested too, go and check out my social media links. I'll keep you up to date with everything happening with Manchester City news, etc, etc, on my Twitter and Instagram. Links to them in description below and popping up on screen too. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this video, and make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, as I'm always interested in what you have to say. So we're going to talk about the ins first. Got one bit of in news of Manchester City have brought in a Japanese youngster. Now, Sky Sports were reporting that Manchester City have signed Japanese young player Ryotaro Meshino. They brought him in from a Japanese side called Gamba Osaka, which I'm going to put a safe presumption out there and presume that they're from the city of Osaka. Now, he's gone apparently into the Manchester City development squad. I was expecting him to actually be heading out on loan. I sensed a loan to Yokohama that Manchester City are working as part of the City Football Group over in Japan for him to go out on loan there, because it won't be the first time that City have signed these players and then loaned them to their their club that they're in partnership with over in the country where these players are from. We've done it plenty of times with Australians, we've done it with some Americans before, and we're doing it with Japanese, but apparently he's come over to go into the development squad, so quite an interesting one. Possibly a brand recognition deal, like trying to get Manchester City's brand out there more in Japan maybe, or possibly Manchester City just sense that he's a good young player, want to see what he's capable of. So yeah, not really too sure what to make of that transfer. Don't know a lot about the player, if I'm completely honest, other than he's a Japanese youngster. So we'll wait and see how he performs. But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me at all if at some point he does end up heading out on loan somewhere. And safe presumption would be to Yokohama, the team that's working with part of the City Football Group, who we played in a pre-season friendly, who did very well, played some nice football, didn't they? Gave us a good challenge. So yeah, we'll wait and see on that development. So we'll move on to the outs now, and we've got an update on Brandon Barker. Of course, on transfer deadline day last Thursday over here in England, we was expecting Brandon Barker to leave Manchester City to sign for Rangers. That went into the next day, but it has officially been signed and sealed. Now, he's joined Rangers on a 3-year deal, apparently for a undisclosed fee. Now, I was understanding that there was going to be no fee involved, and Man City were looking to just sell him on a free contract like they wanted to with Mangala, but apparently now there is a small fee involved. If you remember, in the last video I was mentioning that Preston wanted to sign him in the Championship. They were quoted as wanting a small fee too. That small fee was believed to be somewhere around £500,000, which to some clubs, they don't have a lot of money, so £500,000 is actually quite a lot. It's not actually a small fee to some clubs. And so I don't know how much money Man City have sold Brandon Barker for, but what we do know is he's left undisclosed fee and he's now back up in Scotland playing for Rangers over in Glasgow. So I wanted to say the best of luck to Brandon Barker and hope he has a cracking spell over in Glasgow with Glasgow Rangers. To the next story, and it involved Eliaquim Mangala. An update on him. Now, sources in Valencia were saying that Eliaquim Mangala has agreed a free contract deal to go and sign for Valencia. So we'll have to wait and see as that happens or not. Now, sources in Spain were saying that Eliaquim Mangala was in advanced talks but hadn't signed with Valencia as of yet, and there wasn't a transfer agreed yet. Of course, Manchester City are looking to sell Mangala, not looking for a fee, so you can have him for free. But if he doesn't end up leaving Manchester City by the time all the transfer windows shut around Europe and the world, then he won't be registered as a Manchester City player. So it's well within Mangala's best interest that he finds himself a club. Now, other sources in Spain were reporting last night that Mangala, today at some point, maybe even while I'm doing this video, is meant to be having his medical at Valencia. Of course, this is a sticking point because he's injury prone. You have to pay quite a bit of money for a player in wages. Of course, Valencia don't want to pay full wages, so they'll want Manchester City to contribute to that for the next 12 months, which baffles me, absolutely baffles me why we put him on a new contract. But yeah, there we go. But still, City are going to have to pay some kind of wage contribution because he's on a lot of wage for him to leave. So just a messy transfer, but perhaps the end is in sight for Mangala. Got a medical with Valencia, apparently, if you believe sources in Spain. This is a sticking point though, because a lot of clubs then get put off by his medical and his medical history, and finding little niggly problems. It just becomes really messy. So yeah. Anyway, got an update on Leroy Sane too. All quiet on the Leroy Sane front now. Contract renewal talks apparently for Leroy Sane now will not commence until he's gone through his recovery, so he can focus on his recovery. We're expecting Leroy Sane to be out for anywhere between 4 and 7 months. So we might not be seeing Leroy Sane until the new year. some reports, even Pep said, suggested we might not be seeing Leroy Sane until possibly February, March time. And even then, they'll just gradually introduce him. So whether we see Leroy Sane taking a big part in the upcoming season that's already commenced remains to be seen. But he's been told he's going to be doing his recovery in Barcelona. At some point this week, he's going to be having surgery on his knee. That's going to be overseen by Dr. Cugat, everyone's favourite doctor at Manchester City. That's over in Barcelona, with, of course, even Benjamin Mendy visiting the clinic many of times. Leroy Sane will be visiting there too. And because of this, Bayern Munich have tried to move themselves onto other players instead. They're getting linked currently with Perisic and Gareth Bale. Both of them, I think, were on loan, going for a cheaper option, which was suggesting something to me, that possibly Bayern Munich are looking just to go for a cheaper option, loan with a view to a permanent deal, rather than an obligation to pay that, so they can see what's happening with Leroy Sane. If Leroy Sane doesn't sign a new deal, and he is indeed out until February, March time, then a transfer is unlikely in the winter window too, and so they'll wait until next summer, where Leroy Sane's value will decrease. Of course, having 2 years left on your deal means City were asking for around £130 million. As of next summer, it'll be 12 months if he doesn't sign a new deal, and so they'll be able to bring down that asking price. It's not going to be £130 million with him having just 1 year left on his contract. How much you'd value Leroy Sane at this point next year if he's not played too many games for Manchester City, I do not know. So it's a bit of a messy situation. It's messy for Leroy Sane, it's messy for Manchester City, and it's got messy for Bayern Munich. But to me, I don't want to sound rude or anything, but to me it's what Bayern Munich deserve for their constant tapping up and constant pressurising towards Leroy Sane. There was even some sources out there suggesting, as of last week, they wanted Leroy Sane to hand in a transfer request at Manchester City, demanding that he'd do that to try and force through the move to Bayern Munich. That's who we're dealing with, a player that hasn't even suggested that he wanted to leave Manchester City, yet they're putting him under pressure to try and force through the move. And so I didn't like the tactics that Bayern Munich had undertaken to try and sign Leroy Sane, constantly putting him under pressure, and so the fact that they don't get to sign Leroy Sane now is good. The fact that Leroy Sane has had to pick up a serious injury for that to come about is extremely not good, and so no one's got a good deal out of this anywhere. And yeah, it's a huge shame. So I'm wishing Leroy Sane, like I said before, all the best of luck in his recovery, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to make a full and speedy recovery, and we'll be able to see Leroy Sane back on his feet, back to running at his full pelt speed, and obviously performing at the top level again. It's always difficult when you get a serious injury as to what state you'll be in. We'll be able to get to the standard that you was at before. We'll be able to go on. It's all about, it's all up here, mental strength, and it's a difficult ride here for Leroy Sane, a very difficult ride. It's why all Manchester City players have come together to show sympathy and to try and make things happen. Kevin De Bruyne had a woeful season last season with injuries, always trying to come back and then picking up an injury again and having setback after setback. He released a video saying that this year is going to be Kevin De Bruyne's season. He's going to use what happened last season with all these setbacks as his motivation to drive him forward to get even better and to get to even higher standards. Leroy Sane gets that attitude and takes that about him over the next 7 months or so, he'll be coming back an even better player. So it's all about up here and how you want to recover from that, of course, as long as there's no lasting damage, which fingers crossed there isn't any lasting damage to Leroy Sane, because that's the last thing that Leroy Sane needs in his career. You don't want to end up having setback after setback after setback and ended up playing like what Mendy's like at this moment in time, where he's going to have to train less, and it becomes so difficult. Aguero had injury problems when he first came to Manchester City, if you remember. After his first season, it's just injury after injury after injury, and so we never saw Sergio Aguero, as great as he's been, get to that even next top tier level of showing that he can score 30 goals, which I'm positive he can do in the Premier League on a regular basis if he plays enough games. So yeah, that's always what we're looking for. See how he recovers, see how he gets along, but at this moment in time doesn't look like Leroy Sane is leaving Manchester City anytime soon. So that's where we're at this moment in time. So there we go, that's been the video, just a short update with things happening. I'm sure I'll be back at some point, probably with another transfer update, either later into this week or into next week when we've got a little bit more news. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe, press that red button, press the bell, put your push notifications on. Aiming for 5,000 subscribers. We're less than 250 away, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. You're interested in transfer updates and Manchester City content and Manchester City news and things like that, and previews and analysis and things like that, and talking everything happening with City, then make sure you subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Go and check out my social media links, Twitter and Instagram, in description below and popping up on screen too, if you want to go and follow me on there. Any help in number gains on there is much appreciated. Any help in number gains on here is also much appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for the continued support, and I'll see you all again very soon for the next Manchester City video. So it's been JSGC. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. Ciao for now.